This is not a game, it's actually remote desktop for Windows. Well, not really. It's actually Nvidia's flavor of remote desktop, I'm guessing. It looks very similar, everything that I've done with desktop, but it's in their own application. I'm sure they've played with it a lot to really improve the latency and the stream and the input response. Anyway, if you want to look at remote desktop, you've never seen it, just try in Windows 7 or Windows 8 and you type remote desktop. If you've not used that before, you'll get it come up and you can use that to log on remotely. As long as it's enabled on the other machine, you can remotely log on and it'll open up. Basically, it'll mimic the desktop of what's on that computer. If you've got users set up, it'll give you the rights accesses that that user has, so they can see certain drives or they can see everything, they can use certain applications. So the idea behind this is that you could run the remote desktop on a quite low-end PC or even a restricted access PC, so it has no inputs, no way of transferring information on there or getting information off, and you can also disable the access very easy. So it's great for, in a commercial sense, it's great for military and commercially sensitive companies who want to give people access but really control it. Now also you can, well, I don't know yet, I've not seen it, and this is the first experience I've had that they're talking about you can play games through this. Now I'm going to run through a few things and we're going to see how true that would be. So basically we've got a low-end PC on this side, which I haven't, but I'm going to pretend I have, but I've put up quite a lot of statistic information so you can see what my computer is doing and that it's really not getting resource from this window that we're going to run everything in. All it's actually doing is I'm streaming. How the remote desktop works, it really just obviously as your input outputs, you can copy and paste from your remote desktop window into your PC. Depends how the security is set up. But all it's actually doing, it's just streaming video. Now, so there's a very clever technology which allows your inputs to be look very reactive, so when you actually use it, it's not just like a dumb video that takes a very long time to respond. It actually works almost real time, like you're using your computer in front of you. Now I've got a lot of experience with remote desktops. I've worked in the aerospace industry for some really large companies, and they're spread out around the globe, and we're kind of in the worst case for doing that, because as I'm actually an aerospace designer and we use huge models, so transferring data is really slow. We use a lot of graphically intense CAD tools, so we need a really resource hungry computer locally, because using something like this remote desktop has never been a possibility to do that. So I've actually got a lot of experience trying to do this, you know, and in my industry it really doesn't work. We can use remote desktop for a lot of other things, you know, for access, abilities, and logging on and getting different licenses at different locations where we may not have them locally. But we've never been able to use it as a, you know, in a very high resource hungry computers. Most computers we use, they use the Nvidia Quadra cards, which are the industrial high performance cards. So anyway, let's have a look at this. I'll say I've put on the stream, I've put on my local machine, the memory usage, the CPU usage, and the network transfer rate that it's currently using. And from my graphics card at the top left, you can see the EVGA precision overlay. And in there it shows you the temperature and the frames per second of this actual window, because it's registering this as, I don't know, a direct 3D or OpenGL window or whatever it would with a game or any kind of 3D application, I guess, or a video application, 2D video application. So it's giving us the frame rate. So what I was trying to show here is that my computer, it's really not being hit up for any resources whatsoever. It's running, I think it's like 30% on the CPU to actually play this video. The memory stayed as it is, and the It's very hot at the moment in Seattle where I live, so my house is no air conditioning, so I'm not used to the heat, so my house is really warm. So this is my GPU running actually completely on 1 second, let me just check that. Yeah, it is. My CPU's got actually 0 performance on there at all, so it's not being used at all. My GPU, sorry. So that temperature shouldn't change at all, because all it's doing is it's just playing this video exactly the same. So I'll take you through this. As I say, when you log on to a remote desktop, it's just like you've logged onto your Windows computer. I think this is Windows 7 on this remote desktop, so it should be exactly the same. You see, you get the start menu that we all love so much and hate Windows 8 for. And in here you can run, you can bring up your command prompt. You can do things on that, and also you can actually, the user on the other side, the administration, they can really restrict what you can see, and they can control that. So I mean, they've got Google Chrome in here, and you can actually use the net. So I was really surprised about that, because it's just a test. I thought, why would they do that? So you can go to, let's say, do like a speed test from wherever they are. So this is not running from my connection; it's running from wherever this host machine is. And they are more likely they've set it up so it gives a false IP, so you can't see exactly where. I don't know about that. But yeah, it's certainly not my connection, because it's getting a ridiculous... I think I get 35 meg download and 15 meg upload. So this is the moment is like 660 megabits, that is, I guess. And yeah, they're on a commercial line because it's not asymmetrical. You're getting the same upload as they are download almost. So you can see that this is running from a host somewhere, not my computer. That's pretty good proof of that, I guess. Let's have a look. So they've got some HTML5. I mean, these are not super demanding, but you can see this is running over the host. And it's you can play around as you could, and it's running. So all this resource, if you look at my, it's not very good because it's gone blank. My CPU temperature shouldn't go up at all. This is just my body heat warming the thing up because it's really hot. Not that this is a really GPU intensive application. This is a pretty good Ferrari F1 car within HTML5. I've really not played with these, so I don't know the options. I've just gone through them a little bit. It's saying the controls. Alright, oh, we can drive it. There we go. So this is all being processed on the host. Again, my CPU, I can hardly see it myself, but yeah, my CPU is still at 30-something%. So it's basically just playing like a video over YouTube or something. Let's close that. We've got some video. Can we go full screen?
Have you ever noticed how in Hollywood movies all the villains are
nice commercial.
Maybe we just sound right.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mary.
The big challenge with this is actually it's not the actual constant stream, it's the delay you get when you try and access. So they call it latency. If you don't understand, it's like if you ask somebody questions, when you ask them the question from the time when you asked it and stopped asking the question to when they start replying with the answer, that's kind of like the delay. I guess you'd call that almost like a latency delay. So it's like your input and then their reply. Now they can reply for 10 minutes and it would be perfectly smooth and constant because there's no input between you. And then when they stop, you realize they stop, and then you ask them another question, and then so it's the delays in between when you put an input, and then you get a reply, maybe a video feed, or if you're in a game, something will react how you did the input, and then if you change that, it's that delay. So that's like your latency every time you make a change, and it's it's not actually the stream of information that's coming into you, because that could be perfectly smooth. It's the access in between inputs. Is that a clear analogy? I don't know. So this is like a I think this is like a viewer program for
runs everything very
SolidWorks.
well.
The thing I see with the problem with games, and I don't know, it could be mine installed, it could be because this is brand new, is you do get a little bit of stutter. There was some like 3D demos. Let's have a look. Wait till this load, might jump this bit. This is kind of a cave demo, and all the actual intensive stuff I've run, I notice a stutter. And you can see that it's not actually because I'm recording or the recording software. It does this when I run it without anything else as well, and I've got quite a fast machine, so I don't think it's the video playback that would be the stutter. And it's strange because I think that that feed would be the easiest thing, and it's actually the latency that's the problem to master. They seem to have you can see I can really browse through this fast. Like, I've definitely been on a lot of computers that work a lot slower than this, and you can see this is really fast. I used to say I've used remote desktop in big companies. I use it at where I work now as well, and it's quite a delay. So the standard Windows remote desktop has quite a delay, or even over a company LAN. So this is really impressive over the internet. I mean, I do have a pretty good fiber optic internet connection. This is really impressive about how there is no real delay using this operating system remotely. On here, I think they have like PowerPoint, Word, Excel, probably the web editions, and probably want me to install them. Oh no, they're already on there. So the hope with this is that, in my eyes, when this evolves, is that companies will actually either rent off this access so you can log on. You don't need to upgrade your computer. You can just have a substandard computer that's quite cheap, or even a stream box, you know, on your computer, or a handheld gadget that really doesn't need to be that fast, just has quite a good internet connection, and which these days you get through a mobile phone. It seems my LTE is really fast, and would be definitely fast enough to do this. So you could run this on your laptop or and then on the host side, you could maybe rent, you know, the hardware, which you pay a monthly fee, and you get the fastest hardware available, you know, the fastest grid card at the moment. So you could play the latest games maxed out, you know, and just for a standard charge. And obviously there'd be a lot of competition out there. Different companies that would have all these cards. They would all have different reputation. Their service would definitely be a high competition. And what that would allow as well, because you end up with maybe a mass market that really can use this, and then when they create PC games, they can really push the boundaries. And maybe this would be, you know, go to consoles as well. So if we're sat on our couch with the feet up, the consoles can stream like this, and then they can really start pushing. Because I think definitely a lot of time these days in the game engines goes to low polygon count. It goes to really making sure the game runs at speed. I mean, I've seen a lot of games that when they preview them, they look phenomenal, and and then when they actually come to market, you can see they really have to cut back in a lot of areas because we all hate it when the game's stuttering around or running at a low frames per second. It really takes you out of the experience. So I'm thinking this is where it's going to go. On the business side, I see huge potential as well because of my industry I'm in. You have a lot of companies that they have high commercial secrecy, or I've worked for the military as well, and it's very difficult to have these engineering systems with huge amounts of data, and then they're spread out all over the world, which they all are now, regardless of the company. There isn't any companies that are in one position, whether it's Lockheed, Boeing, Airbus, British Aerospace, or BAE Systems, Bombardier. They all have locations all over the world. They use suppliers all over the world want to see this information. So they really want a system like this where they can give someone pretty much a dumb machine that has no way of putting, you know, a USB stick in there, no way of really feeding off the information that you're looking at. I mean, that's a really good solution to do that. And then also you've got the control, so you can just, you know, if that supplier or if that customer or whoever you're dealing with, you don't want them to use it anymore, you just turn off that IP or just turn off that machine remotely, and they instantly no access to that machine. So that's a really good solution, and you're not just doing that with PDM tools, with you know, database access, but you're doing that with high detail CAD models, or you know, any analysis models and things like that. So this is great. I mean, I've been playing with it today, and I think it's pretty fantastic. The overall, the thing that impresses me from using Remote Log On before is it's not really the performance of the host, because that can really vary, and obviously they can make that that can be a variable scale, but it's the latency on the latency itself from actually, you know, when you click a button and the speed that it comes back. It's surprising that the feed, I'll put on something else which will show, say the Heaven benchmark. We've all seen this. So I'll stick this on. So this will run on the host and it'll stream. And my button clicks, you know, what I see, it's almost instant, the reaction. Now, when the feed comes through from any of these, there's a stutter. And I don't think it's because the host is struggling. I think it's that remote desktop feed that it's creating. There's some stutter in there, so they definitely need to work that out. I don't know if that's my machine. I've got a pretty fast machine. I've got a TI 780 with a 4 gig Intel 477, I think, and yeah. So if you can see this now, it's really now it's running at 1380, I believe. So it's like 800 by 1380, so it's a 16:9 ratio, and it's really not super high. I don't think the host is having a problem running this, but the actual stream itself is stuttering a little. So if they can iron that out, then this will be really remarkable. So I'll be watching this. I've just started doing videos again, so I hope you enjoy this. Just want to give something back, really, for all the phenomenal videos out there. And who knows, with this technology, hopefully we'll be working from the beachside and playing Crisis on our smartwatch. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.